Good morning, it's recording. Back with another video. So I didn't make a video over the weekend or yesterday. It's the first one since last Friday. And I've got stuff fresh in my mind, and if I wasn't careful, I was going to lose the thoughts, and so I thought I'd better make the video this morning. So it's just gone 20 past 5. I got in at 5 o'clock. This is 5 a.m. in the morning, that is. And it's not warm, but it's not cold, you know, it's just right. It's like Three Bears sort of porridge, kind of just right. And I got to give you an update on what happened. But before I do, I want to tell you very quickly I want to make a recommendation for a product that I have no benefit in getting a reward for. It's nothing to do with me. It's there's no financial incentive whatsoever. But a few months ago, I was very sick. And I'd eaten some beans over the weekend. It was beans that I'd boiled myself, you know, dry beans, kidney beans and things like that. I don't think I cooked them properly. I was told that I needed to rinse them 3 times afterwards, and I didn't. I only rinsed them once. And I got very sick over the weekend, and I didn't know if it was flu or if it was because of what I ate. But it kind of coincided with a new round of the COVID, a new version of COVID coming out, so I didn't know what it was. All I know is that I was really, really, really sick for about 4 days, didn't eat. And when I came out of it, I had a strong desire for sugary products, couldn't stop eating sugar, but I couldn't drink coffee. Weird, because I love coffee. I'm a big coffee drinker. I mean, a really big coffee drinker. I need to drink less, but I love it. I love it so much. And there was only one coffee that I would drink, and that was Rica by Nescafe. For years, that's all I bought. And even when I went round to people's houses and they offered me a cup of coffee, I'd say, "What is it?" And I'd say, "Well, what's important about why? What's so? Why do you want to know that for?" I said, "Well, I don't drink Rica." They go, "Really?" And they'd always like get the worst, cheapest coffee out of the cupboard, and I'll say, "That's the reason why." And they say, "You cheeky bleeder." And I said, "I'm sorry, there's no point in me saying, yes, I'll have a cup of coffee if you give me a cup of coffee that I just won't drink. So I'm saving you the water, I'm saving the heat, I'm saving you the hassle." And they go, "Fine, fair enough." Eventually some friends started buying Rica just for me. But I would only drink Rica. That was the only coffee I liked. It had a bite on the tongue, you know. And that's what I liked. And I wouldn't drink anything else. But when I came out of this sickness, I just couldn't drink it. There was something, my attitude towards instant dried coffee had changed. I'll never drink it again, only if I'm really, really, really desperate for it. But I just won't have it again. And so I thought, well, I know what I wanted. I wanted something stronger, and I wanted something natural. I wanted unprocessed in a roundabout way. But so I thought, you know, I'm going to go and get some ground coffee. But I didn't want to make another mistake, because in the past I'd bought like the best stuff. You go to the coffee section and you look for the best stuff, Taylor's of Harrogate or something like that, and you buy that coffee and you only drink half of it. You know, whether it's in a filter coffee or on a coffee press. I use a coffee press. Anyway, I thought, I'm not going to make the mistake. I'm going to go for the cheapest one I can find. So I was in Morrisons, and I picked up this their own branded coffee, but it was a strong one. And I got it home, and it was amazing. And I basically, every time I go to Morrisons now, you know, when I run out, I'll buy like 5-6 bags at a time. This is the stuff. This is what I buy. It's called Molten Magma. It's number 6. It's the strongest one they've got. It's an intense and super strong roasted and ground coffee. At the time, when I first bought it, it was £2.70. They have few special offers on sometimes. It comes down to £2.40, but now it's £3. £3 a bag. It's the cheapest one, right? And I promise you, if you're into your coffee and you really want to try something different, but you don't want to waste a lot of money because you're not so sure, get yourself a coffee press. You can get them from Morrisons as well. A steel one. Don't get the glass ones. The glass ones tend to break. Get a steel one. The metal ones that they have, I think, is about 12 quid or something. But if you've got one already at home, then use that. 3 quid. I promise you, it's amazing. The smell, when you open it up, the smell, oh, it's divine. It's divine. And the taste, well, I love it. That's my first sip. I don't have sugar. I don't have milk, just black coffee. That's Americano, basically. Anyway, that's enough of that. That's my tip if you're into your coffee. Molten Magma, Morrisons, 3 quid. And it's just how much, what's the weight? It's regular size, 227 gram. Anyway, so last Friday I panicked, didn't I? But it was enough, the panic was enough for me to make a strategic decision, one that I'm going to live with now. And I set about implementing it. But I decided to go to second class free postage, but it was a big endeavour. And I needed to get out of the free, not the free, but the first class paid for postage model that I was in. So I decided, or I realised that if I went into all my postage profiles and changed it to second class and dropped the postage from £2.29 down to, I should have done like £1, I think it was £1.50 or 60. I didn't, I went 99p. I just thought I got to get sales in. It was, you know, I didn't care if they were profitable. I just needed cash flow. I needed money to come in to pay bills. Anyway, so I made that decision, and over the weekend, something interesting happened. A steady sales all the weekend to the point where Monday morning yesterday, I had an acceptable level of orders. But as I was going through them, I did, you know, when I was sending them out, I could do some analysis, and I saw that there was some very nice sales, stuff that I hadn't sold for a long time. Definitely, the dropping of the 99p had created some interest, and I sold stuff, a lot of buttons, and multiple purchases of buttons. So the orders were quite profitable. In some cases, like 40 or 50%. Who would have thought, dropping it down to the second class with 99p postage? So the pressure was off me. The anxiety, you know, the panic attack that when I was going with it last Friday, it's gone, it dissipated. Sales are still low, but I started to realise something, that if I played the old game that I used to play, which is selling at cost at the second class free postage model, not cost, yeah, break even, just a little bit above break even, but I still have the 7% promotion built into my cost. And if they buy without the promotion, then I keep that 7%. So it's a little bonus, if you like. I noticed that quite a lot of my sales were purchases without the promotion. They weren't bought off promoted listings. And I thought, wow, that's interesting, because the vast majority of my purchases are usually from promoted listings. I got used to it, you know, paying this 7% out nearly on every sale. And I sat back and I thought about what's going on there. What's the dynamic? And it dawned on me. This is an important thing for you to kind of keep in mind. When I first started eBay, people used to go on and on and on about best match. Best match was the search results. I think on Amazon they have like the buy box. I think this is the equivalent, not equivalent, but the nearest equivalent, if you like. But best match basically returned your listing based on what the logic in the algorithm could deal with at that time. And as time went by, they started playing with it, they changed it, they brought in Cassini, and then they brought in the paid promotions and so on and so forth, as a way of getting your listings to the top of the queue, top of the chain, top of the list. And there's kind of like, I see that there's two types of buyer in eBay. There's those that are cash rich and time poor, and they haven't got time to sit down and search. They just want something to satisfy a need or scratch an itch, and they jump into eBay. They do a quick search, and whatever's at the top of the the search results, if it meets, they'll scroll down 3 or 4 products, and if it meets their needs, if that's what they're looking for, they're not really looking at the price. They're just looking at the availability. They've got it. Yeah, that's the one I want, and they buy. That's how I see they want to get in and get out because they're busy people. They're doing other things in their lives. They haven't got time to sit there on the screen. And then there's the other type of buyer who's, I call them a schnorrer, beggars. You know, I'm like that. Don't get me wrong. When I buy, I whoops, 5:30 alarm. I'm normally in bed. I'm like that. I can use this facility, but on the right hand side, top right hand side of the page of the search results, you can sort by nearest first, most expensive, the cheapest. And if you want to see what the cheapest is, you'll just search by the lowest price. And the lowest price will come to the top of the search results. Because I'd reduced my price by changing it to second class and only charging 99p package and postage, it did make me quite cheap. And so I think that a lot of my listings surfaced to the top of the list for those buyers who had sorted by the lowest price first. And consequently, they were buying off organic listings, right? Winner, winner, chicken dinner. So all the 7% that I'd built into the price to pay for a promotion was not needed, and nearly every sale that I made, I kept that 7%, on top of the little bit of profit that I made if they just bought one item. And that was on top of those people that bought several items. So that's why some of the profits that I made were like, upwards of 40%. I'm very pleased with that. So it was encouraging. My heart felt as if I was in the right direction. It was the right thing to do. So that's one of the reasons why I'm in early this morning, because I feel compelled to get on the computer and march through the changing of these listings into free second-class postage, free 48 basically. Because the research from eBay is that customers have always wanted it fast and free, right? Now I can meet the free part with 48, the 48 postage. It's free. That's the one I'm going to go, but it's not necessarily fast, because as we know, 48 is quite slow. It's at the lowest priority as far as the Royal Mail are concerned. So I'm going to try and get some kind of message into buyers before they buy from me to basically strongly recommend that they upgrade, pay for first class postage. And to do that, I'm going to make the cost of first class postage a very low price. I'm going to do the numbers today. I'm going to basically, make it a no-brainer. So I'll subsidize it in some way, because what I'm really after is the multi-buys. So if I still keep it cheap to get people to upgrade. So in other words, the free 48 price will be a stepping stone to get their attention, and then I'll try and get them to actually pay for first class. Simply because all day yesterday, my dad and I kept saying, this is great the way this is going, Dad. I'm very glad that I made this decision, and this is the way to go. And he kind of agreed. I says, but there's only one problem. And he said, what's that? And I said, we've got to get ready for the loads of complaints from people ringing up or sending the messages, say, where's my order? It hasn't arrived. And he said, yeah, that's what's going to happen. So I've got to get some standard response, I'm going to pre-write the responses in anticipation of receiving these customers chasing their orders. Because I've been sending out first class for a long, long, long time. So it's going to be a bit of a shock to us, lots of people saying, where's my order? And I'm just going to push them back as far as I can. And then when if they open up an item not received case, fine, I'll deal with that and I'll take it right to the end. Because my experience is that, I'll tell you a story in a minute. My experience is that the item always arrives. The Royal Mail invariably always delivers. They might be late, but they do deliver. They fulfil the obligation. And with that in mind, I was talking about a customer last Friday who had bought some toggles, some buttons from me, and she called me a liar. And in the end, I said, look, when they get to that particular point when they're calling you a liar, they're pissed. So I did a refund. Anyway, she kept coming back to me after the refund, basically saying they still haven't arrived and you haven't done this. And I wrote another big long reply saying, I assure you, I packed and dispatched it. I paid for the postage. There's the tracking number that the Royal Mail, the certain problems around the country, all that kind of thing, as much as I could. And she replied, and I said, I'm so fed up with it because it happens so often. I said, I'm so fed up with it that I'm thinking of giving up. That's what I said. I shut her up. 10 minutes later, she replied to say, the button's arrived. How do I pay you back? You know how many times that happens to me? You won't believe. Anyway, so I've got to get ready for those. But I feel as if I'm on the right track with it. But the other thing is, while I was working away over the weekend, I was listening to some YouTube. I got this guy. What's his name? I should have made a note of his name. Something eBay professor, I think he's called. American guy. This guy is one of these people that won't open his mouth unless he can back it up. Me, on the other hand, I'll open my mouth even if I can't. But he's one of these. He has to know the nitty gritty. And he basically said that. I went and checked it out. I didn't read all the detail, but I went and checked out what he was saying. It's in the eBay terms and conditions. I've got a link to it. He basically said that if you've created a listing and it hasn't really sold well in the first 6 months of its life, eBay has the right, and indeed it does, has the right to remove your listing from views. It's still live, but you just won't get any views. And I've got so many listings that are like that. They just don't get any views. There's no sales, no views. And I think this is what was my suspicion that I had when they cancelled my listings a few years ago and said it was all over VAT when the VAT number was actually in the field. I think that was a smoke screen, to be honest with you. I just think that what they wanted us to do was to bloody cancel your listings and relist them again. Start again, because you're just not getting sales. You're putting all this money into your listings and you're just not getting any sales. What are you bloody doing? We've got to help these stupid eBayers out. I know, said the marketing executive in the board meeting, let's just cancel all the listings and they have to relist them then. And they said, yeah, we can't just do that. It's unethical. So, okay, we'll make up a lie. We'll basically say it's all about VAT and we'll cancel them that way. That's what I think they did. I think that's code word. Like you put your VAT number in the VAT field is code for cancel your listings and relist them. So I've got to do that. That's a big project. But the problem I've got is that my listings are connected to Shopify via InkFrog. So I know there's a way where I can basically cancel the eBay listing and sell similar, but then I've got to connect that listing to the existing Shopify listing. And there is a way of doing it, but I can't remember how. But what the alternative is cancelling both of them. And when I relist or recreate the new eBay listing, is going through the process of pushing it over to Shopify and then populating all the numbers over there, which is just laborious and time consuming. The best way is for me to leave the existing listing on Shopify because there's nothing wrong with that, but to cancel and relist the eBay listing and somehow connect the two. So that's what I've got to do. The other thing that came to mind is the SEO. I think I've got to do more SEO on Shopify. I've got to promote, I've got to do SEO, and so there's a whole big project there as well. And I keep getting people writing to me all the time trying to sell me services. I can't afford it, and I just what I do know is that they're telling me that there are certain things wrong with my website, so they know because they can see it from their side. So I've got to basically investigate that on my side. It's just that there's so much work to do. And as one commentator said, commenter on one of my posts, he said a couple of weeks ago, he said, "Can you not find an extra hour a day?" And I thought, yeah, he's right. I've got to work my game. That's why I'm in so early this morning. And I've got to try and keep this video shorter. And I don't know. This is a message to Ricky Resells. Love your videos, mate. I think they're great. I love the way that you keep how you edit your videos. I'm learning a lot from you. I bought this camera because of you. This DJI Pocket. But somebody accused him of being, or resellers of being scum. You're not. I don't see you any worse than car salesman. You buy an old car, you clean it up, and then you sell it for a profit. What's wrong with that? Nothing wrong with it. But I suppose that there are some people basically have this attitude towards resellers. They're going into this, into the charity shops and they're picking up stuff, and benefiting or profiting off people who would normally acquire that stuff in the charity shop at the low price. But anybody can do that. It's a free country. You can go and do what you like. But the point is that they're regular buyers from the charity shop, so they're giving them a regular cash flow. So there's different ways of looking at it. Me, I'm with the resellers. You keep it up, lads and lasses. That is their 19 minutes. How can I blooming talk for 19 minutes when it feels like 2? Anyway, I'll love you and leave you, and I'll check in with you again tomorrow, all being well. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, because apparently it helps the algorithm, and it helps the algorithm, it helps me. Thank you very much. Bye.